In this video, we're going to talk a little bit about what these private and public keywords mean. So first, these fields and these methods. So these are what you can refer to as members of the class. So the fields and the methods, you would collectively refer to them as members of the class. A member of a class could be private. A member of a class could be public as well. So private and public, these would refer to what you call access modifiers. So these are access modifiers. There's actually more. It's not just these two, but we're going to take a look at private and public in this video. So when you make something private, it means that it is only available within the class. So if you say that balance is private, this means that you can only access it from within this class, from within this file in here. If you say something is public, like the constructors that we have here and the methods that we made, these would be available outside of the class as well. And that's the reason why we can actually call those methods even if we're here in the bank account tester, which is in a completely different file. So here we're able to call the constructor, we're able to call the get account name and get balance methods because they are public. Now, balance and account name are private, so this means that we will not be able to call them here from bank account tester because they're only available within the bank account class because they are private members. So let's go ahead and test that out. So let me just go ahead and comment these out. So I have a bank account object here assigned to a variable named A1. So if I try to access the balance, so let's say, for example, I want to print it out, right? If I want to print out the balance, I would say a1.getBalance because this is a method that is public. So this means that I can access it from outside the class as well. So this is not going to give me any errors. However, if I try to access balance by saying a1.balance, balance is private, so this is not, this is going to give us an error. So let's go ahead and try that. So let's save this. And then let's compile it. And then here you see that we have an error. So balance has private access in bank account. So it's got private access in bank account. So inside the bank account class, the balance field is private. So therefore you cannot access it from outside. So if you say get balance, no problem. So let's compile and run this. And we're able to get the value of balance here. All right. So that's what it means when you make something private. It means that you won't be able to access it. And if something is public, then it's accessible. So get balance is public. So what happens here is we're able to access get balance from outside the class. And then in here, it returns the value of balance to the thing that called it. So this specific part here, it returns the value of balance. So this ends up printing out 1 million. Okay. So even though this is private, we've provided a way to access this by way of a public method. So it's kind of like indirect access. If we wanted to give direct access to the field itself, then we can make it public. So this is going to change it. So now that balance is public, if I say a1.balance, so let's save this. So now I'm not going to have any problems trying to access it. So let's compile, and then let's run. So here we're able to get the value because balance is now public. So previously when it was private, we were getting an error. Okay. Now if I make my method private, my getBalance method, so now it's private, this means that I can only access getBalance from within the class. So if I try to say a1.getBalance now, this is going to give an error. So let's save this, and then let's run it, compile it, and then run it. Oh, compile it, and then it gives us an error, so now we can't run it. So a1.getBalance has private, getBalance has private access in bank account. So now we've made getBalance to be only available from within this class. So from within here, if you want to access getBalance, you would just call getBalance. So for example, inside the deposit method, so let's say after we increment the balance, after we increase the balance, we can go ahead and say system.out.println. Then we say your new balance is and then we say getBalance, semicolon. So from within here, since we're inside the class itself, we just go ahead and actually call the method. So it's private, but we are inside the same class anyway, so this is going to work. So now every time we make a deposit, it's going to increase the balance by whatever amount we specified, and then it's going to print out the new balance. Now, of course, I'm just showing you how to access getBalance from how to access a private method from within the same class. Of course, we can always also just say balance since we're here in the class anyway. So I just want to show you how to do it. All right. So now if I make a deposit here, so let's erase that. So if I say a1.deposit 500, so it's going to call the deposit method on the object referred to by A1, and then it's going to pass 500 to the AMT parameter, and then it's going to add that to the current value of balance, and then it's going to print out the new balance. It's going to say your new balance is plus, and then it's going to access the balance indirectly using the getBalance method. So again, I just wanted to show you how it would be done, but again, in this case, it would be probably better to just say balance since it's the field already. So why go through the method which passes the field when you can go directly to the field? All right, so let's go ahead and compile and run this. And here we get the expected output. So we start out with 1 million with a default bank account constructor, and then we deposited 500. So now it's 1,500,000. So the print statement, we don't have a print statement here that prints the balance. The print statement is being executed from within here. So we called deposit, which deposited the money and then printed out the balance. All right. So, okay. So let's go ahead and remove that. We don't need that anyway. And then let's bring this back to being public, and let's bring this back to being private. And then let's save it. All right. So I guess one important question is, why not just make the fields public as well? So why do we have to get the balance indirectly using a public method which returns the value of a field that we've made private. Okay, so why not make this public, and you can just go ahead and access the field directly. All right, so in object-oriented programming, usually you would like to keep your fields private because you want to protect them. You want to be able to control how outside classes will access and control what they can do to these fields. So here's what I mean. If we made this public, okay, if we made this public from outside this class, okay, nothing is stopping anyone who uses this class to go ahead and say a1.balance times 1000, right? Because this is a public field, it's a double, therefore I'm allowed to multiply the double, right? So this isn't going to be a problem. So if I compile this and, oh wait, let me save this first, okay? And then compile, wait, let's just clear this, and then compile, and then run. So no problems, okay? So 1.0 times 10 raised to the power of 9. So this is just scientific notation, but this is a really big number. We've multiplied 1 million by 1,000, all right? So there's nothing stopping anyone from dividing the balance, when really here in your program, the only thing you want to be able to do to the balance is add to it or subtract to it. So if we made the field private, this prevents anyone from accessing the balance and doing whatever they want with it, multiplying it, dividing it, reassigning a completely different variable, a completely different value to it, right? So if you were to imagine that this is an actual real life bank account, that's not a particularly secure thing to do, to make this balance public, right? Because any outside class can just go ahead and access the field and then do anything they want with it. So the idea behind keeping your fields private is because you want to control how they're accessed. You want to be able to control how outside programs, you want to be able to control the things that outside programs can do with them. So now, in this case, we've made it private. So the only way you can have indirect access to the balance now is by way of the available public methods that we provide. So we've provided a deposit method, and the only thing that happens here is it increases the balance. So balance plus equals amount, okay? So any outside program, they just call the deposit method. There's no way for them to go inside the method and tweak what's happening here. Any outside program, okay, like the bank account tester class or any other class, okay, needs to use the deposit method to be able to add to the balance. And then to be able to subtract from the balance, they have the withdraw method. So this is the only way they can subtract from it. And then here we even have some checkers that will check if you actually have enough money to withdraw. And then finally, you have this method that allows you to actually get the value. So this is simply a getter method. The only thing it does is it returns the value of balance. But there's no way for you to actually access the balance and change the value of it using this getter method. This getter method simply gets the value so that you can display it perhaps or print it out here in another program, or get the value and then maybe use it in some other equation or operation just within this program. All right, so that's the idea behind keeping things private. So usually fields are kept private, okay? Sometimes you might have a reason to make a field public, but yeah, most of the time you want to keep it private. You want to keep it secure so that Outside classes will not be able to just do anything they want with it. So that could be pretty useful, especially if this specific class, if your specific class is being accessed not just by you, but other people as well. So let's say you're working in an organization, or your classes are part of a library that's publicly accessible to other people so that they can just use it, import it into their own programs and use it. So if you're keeping your fields private, this enables you to prevent other people from doing whatever they want with your fields, and potentially doing something that will uh, make the program behave in a way that is not what's intended. Okay. Methods. Okay. So you can make them public or private. So the reason behind making a method private is if it's a method that you don't need to use outside. So you could make a method that's private. It could be just a helper method of some sort that is used only within this class, just to help with some type of operation. So you just put it in a method just because you want to make it reusable. You want to organize it into its own block, but you don't plan on using it outside of the class. All right. So so that concludes this video on these access modifiers. There are a couple more levels. There's actually 4 levels to these access modifiers, but we will talk about those other 2 in a lesson in the future.